let's go ahead and begin. So we're gonna begin on our backs. We're gonna do a couple of static stretches to warm up our back. So have both of your blocks handy. And so the first pose that we're gonna do is to just put the block underneath the sacrum in bridge pose. So go ahead and take a moment to find your alignment for bridge, paying attention to feet, sacrum, shoulder blades, back of the head, and then just put the block under your sacrum, probably at the lowest setting, depending on your normal flexibility and how long you've been awake this morning and moving around. So it's very early for me. And so just allow gravity, your weight, and impeccable alignment to set you up for the stretching to happen. So breathing, inviting lengthening of the spine in two directions. So I've been reading Vanda Scarabelli's book, and she was all about the spine. I don't know if you know who she is, but just extraordinary pictures of her. I think she lived to be 100, still doing, amazing, beautiful yoga, including really amazing full back bends. Anyway, she says the spine, you think of, you want to lengthen it in two directions. So from the waist down, connecting in a standing pose to the earth that way, or in a seated pose. And then from the waist up, and that you do this on an in-breath. So this is very different than the way I have thought about it traditionally, but I've been playing with it. And it really seems to make a difference. The first time I read that, oh gosh, it was probably 10 years ago. I just turned the book back into the library because this is ridiculous. But because she is such an inspiration, I actually bought the book and with a more open mind now, realizing that, in fact, I don't know everything. I know very little. I was able to receive a new idea about how to work with the spine in yoga. So, all right, so we've been here long enough, probably a minute or at least or two maybe. So let's go ahead and, if you want to, turn the block up a notch. So I go up onto the balls of my feet, onto the great toe mound, okay, to be able to lift my hips in alignment and then set the block a little bit higher. And so provided that I can still get my heels down, so really connecting heels to the floor. So it is a restorative type pose, a static stretch, if you will, dynamic stillness are the ways that we can think about this pose, but it's not lazy, and it is it's a relationship between effort and relaxation. So just allow nice, slow, deep breaths. Readjust yourself, okay? I can feel my spine lengthening, and so I want to reach my shoulders up a little higher towards the ears, and then place them down so they are well connected to the earth, sacrum well connected to the block, feet well connected to the earth. And it feels to me like I could create just a little bit of opening, more opening where S1 meets L5. So I'm going to adjust the block a little bit. So I'm going to move the block lower, and that creates a little bit more space at that transition point where the lumbar spine connects to the sacrum. So these junction points along the spine seem to be relevant as we begin to move deeper into the spine in an exploration in our practice, which is one of the things that seems to be happening in this moment. And so then also that transition point where T12, so the lowest thoracic vertebrae, which is at about the level of the lower rib cage, you know, where that meets the first lumbar vertebrae, because the shape of the vertebrae changes at that point as the function also changes. So I'm just sharing some of the stuff that I've been overwhelming myself with here lately. So just breathe deeply. All right, noticing the changes that are occurring in your body in response to the practice. And now in alignment, okay, so really, you know, these transitions are important moments where you really want to set yourself up in good alignment, using the coming out of the pose as part of your practice. Okay, transitions always important. So not very deeply, okay, but just lift your knees, hold on to your thighs, and let your knees fall away. Okay, so another concept about setting up a practice is, you know, some schools like Anusara will say, do all of your back bending, just group it together, and then do all of your forward bending, just group it together, kind of that kind of an idea, because they're going so deeply beyond the normal range of motion in their practice. I think that is valid and necessary. But with a little bit gentler approach, you can, you know, you can forward bend, counter pose, back bend, like that. So anyway, again, I'm being awful gabby this morning. I hope you don't mind. All right, so now roll over onto your side, and we're gonna set the blocks behind our shoulder blades, okay? So I have cork blocks, you know, I really like the foam blocks for this because they're softer, but these are so much more effective. So what I'm doing here, we're gonna start with the lowest, well, the medium, okay? So a medium, or you can take it all the way down low if you want. So pay attention to what your body needs. This is a practice that I do fairly often. So I know I can go to the medium range on my block and not feel like I'm being tortured. And you want the edge of the block to be right where the lower edge of the shoulder blades are, okay? You can feel the spines on the scapula as you really press the shoulders back. Knees are bent. And then one thing that you can do is hold on, make a cradle for your head by interlacing your hands, and just for a moment, you know, get a sense of the firmness of the block, and just kind of notice how your shoulder blades feel resting back. And then with this head in the hands, you can open the elbow so you get a nice stretch across the front of the chest, okay, the pectoral muscles and those little muscles that branch out from the chest to the upper arm. I should really learn the names of those, but I can feel them. I know they're there. All right, and then you can stay there, you can set your head on the block, okay? So staying in each part for about 30 seconds, okay? It takes that long for the body to begin to understand what you're asking, to realize that you are mindful of your body and you are setting it in good alignment. And so when your body senses those cues, it knows that it's safe and it can begin to relax. She can begin to relax. She in my case. So breathing and noticing. She, her. All right. Nice deep breath. Now, if you feel like you want a little bit more, okay, if you feel like there's a little bit more flexibility to be found, you can turn the blocks up a notch. And then in this case, I use both of them. I place them side by side with just like a quarter to a half an inch space in between them. That will allow for the actual spines on the vertebral processes. And so just setting your back right smack there, okay, with the one block on one shoulder blade, and I don't need another block behind me because I'm not going to go nearly that far back. Okay, my knees are bent. I'm cradling my head in my hands. I'm letting my elbows relax open and breathing. So I set a nice frame of support with the shoulder girdle, okay, the arms and the interlaced hands, and the head rests in there. It's quite heavy. So there's a matter of pressing the hands to the head and allowing the head to drop back into the hands. I certainly don't have to press the head in this case because it's so heavy. It just wants to bounce right back down to the floor. So breathing and noticing. All righty. So now, slowly make your way up. All right, so another static stretch for hip opening. And so come to a seated position with the legs out just a little bit. We're going to fold the left leg in. So have the shin parallel to the long edge of the mat. Okay, you can walk it in a little bit closer because what you're going to do next is fold the other leg. Okay, and it will be stacked. And the ankle, the top ankle will be resting on the outer aspect, okay? Actually, it's the inner aspect of the left thigh. So not on the knee joint itself. And so they're angled a little bit. And so breathe and notice. Now, another thing that we can do here to start to include upper body and also to strengthen this primary curve, okay? So I've had this primary curve that is healthy and essential confused with a kyphosis, okay? Because I'm so paranoid about becoming kyphotic, but they're not the same, okay? One is a pathological condition and the other is a healthy, strong way to use the spine when it's appropriate. So we're gonna do wrist, hand, and shoulder strengthening. So spread your fingers wide, okay? Place your hands down. I have mine midway between my hips and my knees, and I'm gonna round over. Okay, so I'm really pressing into the sits bones. Okay, the legs are placed, so the legs are gonna do what they're doing. Okay, and that hip is opening, and unless it's painful, like more than a 5, okay, like a 6, say on a 0 to 10 scale, you can breathe with it. You're still in a challenging but safe range. So press into your hands. You can bring them as close as you need to, so you really feel the connection between the hands all the way through the arms into the shoulder blades, okay? A little bit more on the front body now, okay, instead of the scapula so dramatically as with the opposite curve. And then just lift your buttocks up, okay? So breathing, noticing, and then sitting down. Okay, so maybe 2 more times, rolling forward and lifting up. And then 1 more time, rolling forward and lifting up. Engaging core. All right, so now take the legs out. Wow, I can feel that. Okay, and then same thing, other side. So just reversing the legs. Make sure that you do in fact reverse them. All right. So again, sits bones evenly placed. And then if you engage your imagination, you may be able to actually sense the tailbone, okay, the very end of the coccyx, okay, on the back, the pubic bone on the front, okay, pressing down towards the earth, and then both sits bones pressing down. So there's 4 points of connection between the pelvis and the floor that are possible. Okay, so breathing, noticing, and then we're gonna, if you want to, okay, we can do 3 more lifts. I think these are really great for strengthening. I do a variation of this in the bathtub. It's much easier with all that deep hot water underneath me. All right, so folding into that strong thoracic spine, rolling up and lifting and breathing and holding it, and then down and lift, and down and lift. All right, so nice deep breath. Let's stay here a moment longer. And what we're going to do is just a very, very gentle spinal twist. So let's just float this right arm from the shoulder blade up and around, set it beside you or behind you, lengthen the spine in both directions and give it just a very gentle twist from the waist level at the junction between the lowest thoracic vertebrae and the highest lumbar vertebrae. Breathing and noticing sensation. And then go ahead and bring the hand around, other side, breathing. All righty. So we're going to do a flow. Sun salutations. We'll add pigeon. Okay. I think we'll probably do at least 4, maybe 6 sun salutations, just thinking of the variations that we're going to do. All right, so you just need to plan it out that much ahead of time. All right, so go ahead and make your way slowly up to standing. I think I need to be on this end so that I'm mostly in the video. All right, so once you're up and you got your legs underneath you, nice and stretched out, just go ahead and come to the top of the mat. Have your blocks handy, okay? Hands to the heart, nice deep breath. Inhale up, exhale, hands to heart, hinge. Fingers in line with the toes, stretch back with the right leg. And go ahead and deepen into your lunge. So you're just, the knee is down, you're reaching those legs behind you, okay? Being mindful of the thoracic spine here, similar to the curve that we were playing with before. Take the left hand to the inside of the left leg. We're going to keep everything square forward. Okay, sometimes we do this with turnout. Today, we really want to work on working the adductors. And so really pressing the left shin towards the left lower arm. Hands are beneath the shoulders, and then go ahead and keeping those hips even and forward, lift that back leg and breathe. So the back knee, okay, not the whole leg, we'll get to that later. All right, so breathing and really plugging the top of the leg bone into the pelvis, into the hip socket as you stand high onto the toe mounds, okay? Toes flexed, okay? And then really press that heel behind you, even as you're lifting the leg higher and plugging the top of the thigh into the pelvis. All right. So go ahead and let that go. And then we're going to take the left leg back to the right, find plank pose and breathe. All right, so now set the knees down. Let the whole body roll down. So allowing that those extensor muscles between the pelvis and the upper inner thighs to lengthen, okay, instead of flexing there as we normally do. And then press into the palms, press the elbows up, and press solidly into the tops of the feet, press into all 10 of the toes. And from here, we're going to inhale, press the chest through, and go ahead and come up into upward facing dog. Okay, so again, a little bit more emphasis in the hip flex, in the hip extenders, okay, reversing all the flexion that we do so much in our daily life and in our yoga practice. Now roll onto the toes and then back to dog and breathe. All right, and then right leg forward. Same thing other side, so setting it up with a hand on the inside, forearm pressing against shin, shin pressing against forearm, and just being careful about not too much weight or pressure on the elbow. Breathing, strengthening and lengthening through the whole body. Creating length, creating opening, and creating strength and endurance. It's like a magic, I would say a magic pill, but it's so much better than that because we get to be actively involved in the healing. So go ahead and bring the foot forward, left foot to meet the right. Forward fold. Hands to hips, lengthen. Take the arms up over the head in temple pose. Exhale back. Inhale up, arms down. So same thing leading on the other side. So we'll go a little bit faster now since you know what we're going to do. Inhale, stretch up, exhale back. Inhale up, hands to heart, lengthen. Fingers in line with toes, stretch back with the left leg. Lunging, right hand to the inside, pressing, lengthening, breathing, opening. And then take the hand to the outside, back to plank. All right. And then let's set the knees down. Okay, that gives us a nice base of support. And then just adjust yourself, creating as much opening as you can, okay, especially through the shoulders. Notice what you need to do to make that happen. So strong and open. Opening across the front, I have my shoulder blades pressing together, inner aspects and outer aspects opening. So it's like I'm presenting my heart to the world. And then go ahead and lower down. Breathing and noticing. And then toes under, muster all your strength and courage. Press up and back to dog pose. Breathe. And then we're leading with the left leg. All right, so we're going to step forward with the left leg, lunging, and then set the hand, the arm on the inside. Breathing. So this helps us to really fire up the muscles, okay? in every part of our body, okay, because it gives us a little bit more stability. So we can really lift higher with the leg, really connecting the buttocks into the pelvic system, all right? And then release the hand to the outside, step the foot forward, forward fold, breathe and notice. So now, really pressing hips up, lengthening the legs, okay? Head hangs. And then we're gonna keep the legs and the buttocks exactly where they are. We're gonna pay attention to that connection between the L spine and the T spine, okay? Lumbar and thoracic junction point. And from that junction point, okay, we're gonna allow the spine to follow along as we take the fingers around to the side, either side, it doesn't matter, we're gonna do both. So breathe and notice. Notice how this movement affects the spine, the connection, the rib cage connection, okay? And then all the way back around. Notice when you get to the center, how it feels. Maybe wagging your tail just a little bit, and then go ahead and take it around to the other side. And then go ahead and come all the way back around. Hands to the hips, engage your core, lift out, come all the way up. Arms overhead, this time hold on to opposite elbow, opposite hand. So we're really gonna frame our head and our neck, okay? We're gonna press into our feet. We're gonna lift up and we're going to lengthen back, okay? Again, really noticing that sweet spot. Breathing and noticing. Now, if you are foolhardy and you have a strong back and strong neck, from here, you can release the hold on the elbows and extend the arms. And so they are reaching back, fingers are spread, thumb rotating to the outside, pinky fingers rotating to the inside, creating rotational quality in the shoulder area, and then back to center, hands to the heart, nice deep breath. All right. Picking up the pace a little bit because there's a lot more I want to do in this 30 minutes. I think we'll move next into, we'll bring pigeon into this. So inhale, stretch up, exhale back, hands to the heart, hinge forward, fingers in line with toes, head hangs. Go ahead and reach the right leg back. Grab your blocks in case you, if you think you might want them. Okay, so setting up the lunge like we always do, okay? And then we're gonna walk the left foot so that the heel is in line with the hip, and take the hands to the front. Now, we're just playing here, okay? So this is an extreme position of the knee. And so you have to really be careful the way, and so this is just a warm up. We're gonna take plenty of time with this pigeon, and we're gonna do the flow again. We'll do it a little quicker, okay? But pigeon is such an important pose. People are capable of so much in it, but it's also so many vulnerable points, especially the knee. So by flexing the ankle in this position and really standing into the outer edge of the foot and spreading the toes, it activates the muscle so the knee is actually protected. So then the other thing is you only go down with the knee as far as you can keep everything else stable, everything else in alignment. So the goal is not to get the knee down to the floor. The goal is to open the hip joint. and just to explore. All right, so now go ahead and bring the heel back towards the hip bone here, okay? Unless your practice, okay, that you've been doing for years and years and years, has you in that extreme position, okay? If that's what you do, if you are strong and flexible enough to do that safely, then more power to you. So, so now the foot can point and the heel is back enough so that the knee does not feel vulnerable, okay? You're able to really flex that knee joint. So now let's step under onto the toe mounds, okay, on that back foot, and then we can play now into that right hip joint, okay? So from the toes, transmitting all the way up to the hip joint, I'm doing little circles. And then I'm going to take it in the other direction. So just playing, setting your stability, continuing to open spine, strengthen and open shoulders. It all works together. And then flatten the foot down. And now we're just going to slowly walk the hands forward, hinging over, going as deeply as you can, as you also maintain alignment. So the goal is for the hips to be even, okay? It is not easy. It would be really fun to actually be together in a group right now. We could be each other's mentors and help find that even spot that can be seen, but not necessarily, I can't see it, somebody else can see it. All right, so pressing up onto the hands, pressing chest forward, lifting through the crown of the head, and then press into the hands back to dog pose, okay? So because it becomes long and awkward and confusing for me to do the vinyasa here, we're just gonna go ahead and change this up a little bit. And we're going to just step the right foot forward, okay? So lunging, and then go ahead and set the back knee down, walk the right foot over towards the left side of the mat, keeping the shin as far forward, parallel, as you can safely control it, okay? So the foot is flexed. You're breathing and you're just playing here. Yeah, just really playing with maintaining the strength through the foot, the ankle, the knee, plugging that into the hip. Okay, strong arms, strong shoulders, strong core. Just breathing and notice sensation in the hip muscles. Okay, and then finally just slide a little bit closer. The knee will come in a little bit. The foot can now relax, so it's pointed more than flexed. It's kind of in the middle place probably. All right, so thinking about pelvis and hips, and noticing usually the hip of the extended leg is up and back. Okay, so you want to think of rotating it down and forward to bring it more level with the other hip. Breathing and noticing, lifting, lengthening spine in both directions. And then go ahead and walk the hands down onto your elbows, breathing and allowing your upper body to descend over and down, breathing. All righty, so now go ahead and press up. And then let's go ahead and curl the toes under, press up and back into dog pose, okay? And then we're just gonna walk the feet forward Forward fold. Head hangs heavy, shoulders open. This time just roll all the way up. All right, so we're gonna do one more round of sun salutations. I'm gonna have my blanket on the floor. This is gonna be a little tricky. I'm gonna put the blanket across this way. All right, because where we're going, I think you might want to blanket underneath. Okay, so let's do this. Come to the top of the mat. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Hinge forward, fingers in line with toes. So really big step back over your blanket and go ahead and lunge. All right, now get your blocks. So in the old days, I would call this a low lunge, okay? Now, what sounds much more exciting, and actually the images of this pose are beautiful. If you instead call this pose Anjali-asana, I wonder if that's the name of it. Anyway, it's the way I'm thinking of it right now. It takes on a little bit greater depth and meaning. So here we are, we're in the low lunge, but we're gonna float the arms up and around, okay, if we don't need the blocks. If you need the blocks, use the blocks. As you strengthen your body and it becomes accustomed to a neutral alignment through the spine, then there's a lot more momentum, okay, as far as this line of energy that flows between the earth and the sky, okay? So breathing and noticing, or you know, sometimes I'll use the image of heaven, and I just realized if that's the image that I'm going to use here, the heaven and the earth, or, you know, a lot of people, it's heaven and hell. So anyway, choose your image. Images and metaphors so important. All right, so just playing with both aspects here. Okay, so the hinging forward, keeping that knee safe. You understand now why I wanted you to have a blanket. And I'm really pressing into my flat foot and all 5 of my toes, okay? So what happens next with this is pretty intense. So what happens next is that we can bend that back knee, all right? So just to begin with, play with setting the knee down, bending and pointing the toe, bending the knee, pointing the toe up to the sky, and then place the foot down, curl the toe pads under, and just lift the leg just a little bit to lengthen those muscles, okay? So you could do some repetitions if it feels wise. All right, and so, all right, that was interesting. So get rid of the blocks. There's another variation that I like to do there, but I'm so tight because it's 8 o'clock in the morning and I've been sleeping for 10 and I didn't go for a bike ride. So all of those excuses for being totally wound up and tight this morning. All right, so from here, let's do this. This is going to be tricky. So really press into your hands, lift that front leg to the back and notice how much you disturb your blanket. Set your blanket. All right, so now let's do this. Knees down. Take the knees wide apart, toes together, okay? And we're gonna just sit back, let the spine round, okay? So like child's pose, except that your arms are extended. And then from here, these are child's pose push-ups, all right? We're gonna come up and we're just gonna keep the knees open, toes together, and we're gonna lower the elbows towards the waist as we take the chest down a wee bit, and then straighten and stretch back. All right. So a couple of repetitions, just engaging core, okay, as you come up and forward and press down just a little, okay. Again, gravity, your weight, and your alignment, okay. Those three elements are key. And so just breathing and flowing as quickly or as slowly as you would like. Alrighty. So now you have to remember where we were. So I'm pretty sure we're leading with the left leg. So go ahead and come up and into dog pose. And then whichever leg it is that you think is supposed to go forward at this time, bring that foot forward into a lunge. Okay. And so breathing and noticing. So in the slow lunge, and then flattening the top of the foot. And then when you're ready, go ahead and come up, bringing your hands to the heart in Anjali Mudra. And breathing. Inhale, stretch up, lift and lengthen. And then bring the hands to the heart. And then go ahead and when you're ready, you know what, let's from this position right here. Okay, let's try this. So lifting the knee like you did before, okay, pointing the toe up, and then notice if you can reach back and hold on. Okay, so I cannot. I can after a bike ride. All right, I can after being up for 24 hours, but that's not now. So we're going to play with it in the way. So hands framing the foot. So go ahead and we're going to lift the ankle and the foot, pointing the toe up to the sky. Okay, so really squeezing the calf towards the thigh, and then take the foot down, curl the toes under, lift and lengthen the leg. Okay, set the knee down, point, flex, knee joint, and then extend onto the toenails, lift the leg just a little bit, breathing, knee down, pointing. So you got it. So just continue. All righty. Okay, so now let's go ahead and just step the right foot up to the left, fold forward, go ahead and roll up. One vertebra at a time, go ahead and roll the shoulders back. So there's a few different ways we could do this. What we're going to do next, we're going to practice Warrior 3, but we're going to do it with either blocks or a chair. Okay, so I'm going to try it both ways. I have a chair handy. You might want to grab a chair. I think we'll do it with a chair first, in fact, because it's going to be a little bit more accessible with the chair. The thing about the chair is you want to have the chair on the mat so it doesn't slide. And you want to have room to extend here. Okay, so this is so body parallel to the earth, using the chair for support. And then you can extend, let's lift the left leg. Okay, so the work here, okay, so don't worry too much about the alignment of the arms, just make sure that they're strong. Pay attention to where the shoulder blades are, and pay attention to the head. Okay, so head, shoulders, waist, pelvis, all in one line, if you will, okay? So now the boon is that I wasn't expecting is that because of where I am in my room, I can get my left foot onto the wall, okay? So now I can really press into the sole of the foot, and that helps to really fire things up. Okay, so breathing and noticing. And so just staying well aligned and allowing the work to happen. And man, can I feel that work going on in my supporting leg. So breathing and noticing. Whew. All right. And then when you're ready, just fold in. Oh my goodness, you change legs. All right, I love inventing new things. I mean, I know I'm not inventing it because I'm sure that somewhere somebody else has done this. All right, so support to the left leg, extend the right leg, and breathe. So in the evening class the other night, Betsy was with me and my niece Harmony and David. We're working on dancer pose, and I have presented that idea, I know, to you ladies too. And so what I realized the other night is like, oh my goodness, I've lost so much strength in my legs this year of COVID, because this year of COVID has helped me to overcome my addiction to the gym. Okay. But the downside is that I lost muscle mass and strength. But hey, you know, I'm going to be 63 soon, so who cares? Breathing and noticing. And then when you're ready, when you feel like you've had enough, just set the other leg down to meet it. Go ahead and fold forward and breathe. All right, so we are not going to do it with the blocks today. I think that was quite enough. What we are going to do is come down onto the floor. And have your blanket. So we are not actually going to do dancer pose today. However, I am recording this, and I think that this is a really good practice for prepping our bodies. You know, strengthening what needs to be strengthened, opening what needs to be opened, so that we can, when the time comes, just move, like dance right into this beautiful pose. So we're going to take advantage of being warmed up. And so onto your bellies, really lengthening the whole body onto the earth. And then go ahead and press up onto your elbows. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bend the right knee. So we're going to stay with this theme here. So we're going to bend the knee, really pay attention to that right hip crease, the groin crease. Now I understand why in John Friend's videos, he's always talking about the groin crease. My husband thought it was just some kind of conversion. All right, so breathing and noticing, lifting the chest forward, lifting up through the crown of the head, and preparing, so we're going to reach back around with the right arm, the right hand, and get a hold of that foot. Okay, so the challenge is, you know, once you actually reach your foot, the challenge is to place everything else back in a neutral alignment. Okay, so I'm fortunately able to reach deeply enough that I can lift and roll that right scapula, okay, more deeply onto the back. And so my elbow is bent, okay, and this helps me to lever the heel down. Okay, so breathing, noticing, keeping the whole top of that thigh on the floor, okay? And just hanging with it, okay? Remembering the golden rule of muscle lengthening, that you stay in dynamic stillness for at least 30 seconds to a minute, okay? So breathing and noticing. And then go ahead and release. Notice what feels different from side to side. And then go ahead and begin transitioning to the same pose on the other side. So first paying attention to space. Okay, in the front of that left groin, okay, hip crease. And then go ahead and bend the knee, pointing the toe up to the ceiling, pressing the heel towards the hip, and then lift up and around. So remember that the movement of the arm actually originates at the shoulder blade, okay? So that might help you. So lifting up and around and over, all of that, getting the hand onto the foot or holding on. Even if you can just barely hold on to the toes, that's your point of access, that's your beginning, okay? And then as you create more and more openness, along with strength and flexibility in all of your muscles, and you can go deeper in yoga. So breathing and noticing, pressing heel towards the hip, pressing chest forward, lifting through the crown of the head. And then go ahead and release. And go ahead and roll down. So last pose in this series will be bow. Okay. So Natarajasana. All right. So let's go ahead and bend the knees again, just like we were doing before. Okay. So just begin by creating more space in the groin creases, pressing all of that down, pressing belly down, okay? I'm lifted up just a little bit. My arms are one palm on top of the other, and my chin is actually just grazing my hands as I'm really focusing on my lower body, setting that up, okay? And so we're gonna string up the bow. So what we're gonna do is just reach the hands around, keeping the chest low, okay? Getting the hands onto the feet or onto the ankles, pressing the thighs down at the same time. We're beginning to lift the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together on the back. Okay, just get a feel for just that much. All right, and then when you're ready, okay, so we have strung up the bow. It's nice and strong, steady. Then we can lift the legs. Okay, so breathing. Remembering the idea of stability, so engaging what needs to be engaged, and then opening where there's an opening, so especially in the front body, breathing and noticing, and then go ahead and set the thighs down, press the heels to the hips, and then go ahead and press up and back. So when there's a pose that you would like to go deeper with, okay, we set up a foundation. So there's always a sequence of poses, and I am starting to plan my class now. I'm so proud that I have time to teach, not just intuitively, but for me to be the teacher and the student at the same time. Anyway, so working on those poses to open what needs to be opened, strengthen what needs to be strengthened, and then doing repetitions of those poses. So, an hour is simply not enough. I'm looking forward to be able to do 3-hour posture clinics. It's really small. We could do it in my house.
it's a little bit bigger, we could do it at the Dharma Ranch. So be thinking about what poses you think are beautiful, that maybe are a real challenge that you would like to have some really focused work around. So for me, it's royal pigeon. I figure if I keep working on it earnestly now, maybe I can get it by the time I'm 80. All right. So enough of that. Let's go ahead and come up now. And you know what? I was thinking about yet another backward bend, but I think it's time to start quieting it down. So let's do this. Just crawl onto your blanket. So your feet and your knees and your legs are on your blanket. Take the legs close together. So the shins are close together, knees are close together. Sit back onto your heels. And you're still folding forward, just really now paying attention to completely folding in on ourselves. And then just go ahead and extend, just lower down the belly and the chest and the forehead, and take the arms down to your sides. Just noticing. So all of the back bending poses liberate a lot of energy, which is really great for a morning practice. But still, it's good. You want your nervous system to be balanced. And so even though it's early in the morning, those were pretty intense poses. So a little rest in child's pose helps to reverse that. So let's go ahead and let's do a little core work. So come into a seated position and make a V. Okay, so we're making, well, really, it's almost like a W. Okay, if we could include our arms, the torso, the thighs, and the knees. Okay, so just setting the arms back behind you comfortably. Okay. So you can still engage through the shoulders and be strong, okay, but you have that support. And so you're on the tops of the femurs, really, it feels like, right where they connect into the pelvis. Okay, so we're going to engage our core and then point and draw the right thigh close to your chest and then extend and lower, okay? Bend it back. So repetitions, left leg, lift, lower, bend, okay? Lift, straighten, lower, okay? So just going one leg and then the other, breathing and noticing. Mostly about core, so keep your navel drawn in towards the spine, okay? And sorry, I think there must be something in the air that's causing me to have a little congestion this morning. So go ahead and bring that stillness when you've done the same number on both sides, then both legs together, thighs close, legs extend. Notice if you have the ability to lift your arms. If you have that ability, lift your arms. Breathing, engaging core, breathing, quivering, and then go ahead and come right on down out of it. And then left hand to the tops of the toes, right arm behind you, lift, lengthen, twist, breathe. And then right hand to the left toe, right hand to the toes, both toes, left hand behind you, lengthen in both directions and twist and breathe. And then go ahead and come back around to center. Go ahead and begin to make your way down onto your backs.
And take the feet as wide apart as the mat. Take the arms out like letter T, and then allow the knees to drop down to the right. Arms out from the sides, or if you feel like you need a deeper release for the shoulders, because we did a lot of shoulder work, you can make a pillow under your head with your hands and press those elbows down. So it just gives a little bit of support and engagement to the shoulder blades. And then once you find that stability, you can then, even in this position, encourage the shoulder muscles to relax. So breathing deeply. And then go ahead and bring the knees back to center. Lift your head and change the position of your hands. Okay, so in a sense that, you know, they were crossed with one index finger above the other, and so then just change it. Okay, so that's what I mean. There's always a dominant position and then the other one. You know, usually we only have two choices. So anyway, knees dropping down, breathing. And then when you're ready, bring the knees back to center. Once again, lift the head, remove the hands, and just let the head rest down onto the floor as you extend the legs out evenly and placed comfortably so that the lower back can release and relax. And just go ahead and connect with your breath and allow your whole body to relax. Resting in Savasana. For, you know, if you are the busiest of busy people in the world, give it at least a minute, please. And if you have the luxury of not having to be quite so busy, give it a little bit more time. So this is where we simply open ourselves to receive all that wants to be given us, you know, through the body, from the earth, from the wind and the sky. And so just luxuriating in this deep rest. And so thank you so much for joining me for Yoga and Health Intermediate Flow on Thursday mornings from 7:30. Nope, I'm sorry, from 8 until 9. All right, so I will upload this video and get it out. Namaste.